My name is Jodian, and I'll be speaking on the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, commonly known as ATF. The ATF is a federal law enforcement agency within the Department of Justice and is responsible for enforcing federal laws involving firearm, explosive arson, and illegal trafficking of alcoholic and tobacco products. ATF has both a regulatory role and a criminal enforcement role. As a regulatory agency, ATF oversees industries through licensing requirements, inspection record-keeping standards, and compliance regulation. As a law enforcement agency, ATF investigates criminal violation involving firearm trafficking, explosive, violent offenders, and organized crime activities. From an administrative law perspective, ATF demonstrates how agencies operate within the executive branch by using authority delegated by Congress to implement and enforce these federal laws. So, as we stated earlier, that the ATF is a federal administrative agency within the executive branch under the Department of Justice. Like ATF exists because Congress cannot manage every technical detail of federal regulation. Instead, Congress creates law and delegates authority to agencies with specialized knowledge to carry out those laws. By looking at the federal government structure, we understand that ATF operates within the branch of the executive branch under the authority of the Department of Justice. The executive branch is responsible for enforcing federal law, while Congress is responsible for creating legislation. ATF serves as the connection between these two functions by implementing laws through regulation and enforcement activities. This structure reflects that administrative law principle of delegated authority, where Congress gives agencies the power to administer law within specific boundaries. ATF was not created as a single agency all at once. Instead, it was developed over time as the federal government responded to new public safety challenges. ATF origins can be traced back to post-Civil War period when federal government focused on enforcing alcohol tax. During the Prohibition era, illegal alcohol production and organized crime increased, creating the need for stronger federal enforcement. Over time, Congress expanded ATF responsibilities to include firearm regulations, explosive enforcement, and arson investigation. The creation and expansion of ATF demonstrates why administrative agencies are necessary. Congress recognized that certain areas require technical expertise, continuous oversight, and specialized enforcement capabilities. ATF, as we know today, was established as a bureau in 1972 and later transferred from the Department of Treasury to the Department of Justice in 2003. Instead of Congress handling every single operational detail, Congress established a legal framework and delegated authority to ATF to develop regulation to enforce compliances. This is a key administrative law concept because agencies receive authorities from statutes but must operate within the limits of Congress. How does ATF create rules? They create the rule through the administrative process known as rulemaking. Congress passes federal statutes that establish broad requirements, and ATF developed regulations that provide the specific details needed for implementation and enforcement. And an example of the ATF rulemaking is the 2024 final rule definition of engage in business as a dealer in firearms. This rule clarified when individuals selling firearms are considered to be operating as a firearm dealer and therefore may be required to obtain a federal firearm license. This demonstrates legislative authority because Congress provided ATF with the authority to administer firearm laws, while ATF uses its expertise to create detailed regulation. ATF must follow administrative procedures under the Administrative Procedure Act, including notice and opportunities for public participation when issuing significant rule. ATF enforces rule using several tools. One of the major tools is investigation. One of the major tools, is licensing. Business involved in firearm and explosive must obtain federal license before operating. Another one is inspection. where ATF uses this to determine whether licensed businesses are following federal requirements, including record keeping and transfer regulation. You also have investigation, then administrative action, and criminal enforcement. Looking specifically at administrative action, this is dependent on how serious the violation is. ATF may issue warning letters, require corrective actions, enter compliance details, or suspend and revoke licenses altogether. A recent example of an enforcement action was a license revocation. And this is though that although ATF has the authority to revoke federal licenses, for decades under the Gun Control Act, the agency implemented a heightened approach in June 2021 through its zero policy tolerance. This policy, so the zero tolerance policy, emphasized stronger action against firearm dealers who committed willful violation, including failures involving required records, background check, and unlawful firearm transfer. From a administrative law perspective, this demonstrates agency enforcement discretion. Congress provides ATF with the enforcement authority, but the agency determines how to prioritize and apply the authority based on public safety concern and regulatory goals. In conclusion, why is ATF so unique? ATF is unique because it combines regulatory authority, criminal enforcement, and scientific expertise. Unlike agencies that only respond after crimes occur, ATF also works proactively through licensing, inspection, education, and compliance designated to prevent violation. ATF provides specialized forensic services involving firearm examination, explosives, and firearm investigation. One example is the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, which uses technology to help investigators connect firearm evidence across different crime scenes. Another example is the National Center for Explosive Training, which provides specialized training and research relating to explosive investigation. Overall, ATF demonstrates the importance of administrative agencies in government. Congress creates a legal framework, agencies use specialized expertise to implement those laws and enforcement action to achieve public safety objectives. This is the end of my presentation. These are the works or the authorities that were cited, and this shows that ATF role is both reactive through criminal investigation and proactive through regulation and prevention. Thank you.